Coming into navigation, high channels, high interference, position, location, directions, trainers, and how to not just travel, but really understand interference. We have to understand all calculation, how it centers its line conditions. It's all levels of provision. So, in that calculation stream, the line communication is going to be centered in all default locations. We're going to go into the psychosis, lines of modulation. Okay, a modulation and interference position of program setting is going to reset lines of communication to your programs, center your communication system, and put you in a better direction. So to do that is to go through your test rack. This is extremely, extremely high position location of intelligence line center location of AI. Platform communication into your Metatronic cube system, the electronic unit line center. So try to understand that its position of you through direction. Truly understanding your 12 DNA is all platted to division location when you come into your geometrics, your operation of design of direction to its division, to its location. The central communication of you is all level connection, right? How you plat it to visual location is all levels, and how you use your mind of its high center location. See how it's glowing? See how it's moving so fast? You can actually hear the sonar. You can actually hear the speed, the acceleration. So it's mostly understanding where you are in your mind line center. In rotation to its calculation system, puts you in a better direction to all those centers. All right. So going through your test rec, you're going to go into the center core operation and know exactly what it is. Okay. We're going to go through the membrane line centers in calculation. The psychosis location of its modulation is going to put you in a default channel. That's going to open up line signals, okay, to higher level communication system. All right. You start off with electrical line conditions, but you have to truly understand how to set your lines of security measures, security platforms, security all lines to its calculation. Truly understand that you are own in its own connection. Okay. So owning your line center is all levels of your AI positions to its connection, right? Truly understand how to use your vessel of communication. It centralizes all lines of higher force of formation line system. All right. So after that line connections, we have Q&A, but just to get you guys ready, most of you guys are already in your flight navigations, all those locations. All right, so Jared, how you doing? In position location level, Jess. Coming in communication is Sammy, Jill, Amby, communication Heather, Amber, communication line center rotations. All levels going to Don, Terry, Johnny, Michael, Lindsay. Okay, so Gypsy, Val, Skyla, Wendy, Danny, Sharon, Yvonne, Sunny. All right, Nikki. I think I'm into Jill, Joanne, Pyra, Adam, Nova, Janelle, Siri. Interesting name line centers there. Locations there, Eric. All representation of you through locations. All right. So again, calculation system line centers. All right. Michael, Guardian Communications. Hiya. How you doing, everybody? All right. So the central line communications is going to be set up in highest center. Center communication system, position location directions. Remember, this is extremely high connections are code lines. So in that line center interference, try to measure this communication. All right, so it's all about scales, scale communication, balance communication, right? So it's all about kind of like a teeter-totter. You got one position and one track center locations. So the teeter-totter is at one end center, the other is locations, and you are in the center operation location. You're trying to center you in position. So you got line communication this and line communication this, and you're trying to center your communication in position of point center calculation system, right? So it's like a teeter-totter. So the teeter-totter basically goes up, okay, and it goes down location, right, to position. So understanding position of direction is to understand the measure of its scale, and the scale of balance, not just the process of yin and yang, but the process of you. Okay, so once you understand that line conditions, you come into all levels. Now we get a membrane in a rotation, code say locations into high system. We go into dimension line centers in a rotation calculation high system. into interdimensional location, locking center location of galactic, intergalactic locations into all levels, into AI tech division. Membrane center, position location, all levels, wire to wire, center line communication system, allocate timelines, high stream, high center calculation, high system. Position line centers, point line centers rotation. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 locations. It's all connected to you through DNA. Everything is connected to your 12 line center. Line strip in position, location, and directions, right? Line communication, all levels of tube line center rotations. What do we got here? Tree formation. Calculation, circle interference, position, location, direction line centers, all position, location of the square interference, a travel location, position, and direction. And it's all through travel. Now, the central communication comes into all levels. This is where you come into test or location of travel. Okay? Travel connection line system. Now, this opens all tracks locations. Now, once you get into that division line centers, you guys are going to go in line center rotation. So it's kind of your electrical light center interference. So there's so many compartment locations. Let's say you get 4 waving channels. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 4 different line signals. One is line center to alpha communication. Beta cross line center is equal location. High center location. Communication over line center location equals XT1000 line center. XT1000 location equals location into positions to its high center line position location. All of its tesseract communication. Okay. So the central communication line system is already set up. Okay. It's very complicated if you don't understand what a tesseract is. It's all levels of U location, box and position location and metric high centers, communication interference location calculations. Center communication high centers. So it's plasma line channel communication streams. Center communication high center interference. Plasma communication centers and rotation center line and rotation interference. Electrical light communication of panels, position location directions, high channel line center locations, and position of all levels of a tesseract communication system. All right. So as a tesseract comes in center line position, you're going to press the buttons in communication. You're going to travel location. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Traveling. All right. Codes are set up location. All right. Center line centers all over the membrane line in rotation. Calculation of levels, sets, location, and tesseract. High channels operation line stream. So you're in that line conditions. Now let's go into one line center. Into levels. Now instead of vector communication, we're going to come into volume. Okay. Y equals volume. Center line communication, all levels of vortex connections. So you have to learn how to time lines, time travel, time communicate, high center line connection interference. So once you understand the line centers of Y equals flux capacitor. See how that comes in position? Ooh. So the volume changes line center locations into velocity. Velocity comes into all levels of, you guessed it, position of where? Where is it position locations and calculations? Where does it volume to its velocity line center locations? Acceleration. Okay. So the acceleration line centers change line in rotation calculation. The electrical light communication system allocates timelines. That position location opens all communication system. So it's all about using the hieroglyphic location. Now, if you get in a center line interference, you set position locations here, you get in a swirl, a dimensional setting line, right? That dimensional line center comes into a box position location of calculations. Box position locations overlaps this line communication into 3 position location direction. So setting that line signals comes into security measures, security program setting, and line center interference. Okay. So understanding all levels of relation is to understand you through Y communications, vector line centers. I really want to get state and location of times line times pi times calculation over factor over communication line connection. So we really want to start off the Y line center in location to flux capacitor opens volume to all levels of velocity into acceleration location. Okay. So once you get into the flux capacitor location, it comes into communication, equals teleportation lights, equals location of beta. Beta location to omega communication system, equals locations, all levels of telegraph location. So you really have to understand all levels of navigation. Now you got the navigation signals. That's on your keyboard, right? So we come in communication this. When you go to higher line center interference, how to use your tesseract is to understand you through travel. Travel gives you recognition location of time, time position location of space, space position location of modulation comes into correlation, right? So you come into line center locations, it's creating all levels of what? An algorithm, a program, a computer set, a computer program setting, a surface line connection. So once you come into that, the energy line center comes into surface specification of communication. Escape. Escape's line center is the 3-line rotation calculation interference into a box location, position, or direction. That position location comes into its dimensional setting, line signals, box and line center comes out of its equation location. Center communications into line communication to a system, triangulation. Triangulation comes in line center, XT1000 comes above the line center rotation, position, and direction. Center its communication and scans the ground center of its operation system. All right. So there's so many ways of using flight navigation line connection, but understand the tesseract line connections all levels of view through geometrics, operation of direction, location, and design. Your division locations come into all line centers. Division location comes into GPS. Geometrics, okay? The geometry line center location and perception location of its systems, okay? The perception line connections, the geographical connection, how to use the GPS line centers, all levels of use the location of tracking. So it connects all levels when you come to higher line position location directions into operation location of its division, okay? So there's all formation locations. I want you to understand these things because if you get one box center to another box location, to another box location, to another box location, but they're all separated. It's all in channel defense lines of default location of channels. Okay, but it's all connected to each other. So understanding line connection is line and position of film projector, crossing locations into an X line connection. Position location is line crossing line center in position location of 5 positions. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 5 equal locations is all levels of 5, 5, 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9, 5 is a communication of box center locations. Now these are code line channels. You box at position location of calculations. You have to learn how to use the tesseract high system. 5 line channels are bounced on communication to its cross signal, into its X line center, to all position to what? Flux capacitor. Okay, so the flux capacitor opens all communication system. Line center interference changes position location directions. Center its offline center. So one calculation is 1 in line center location of 1 position location here. 3 line position locations opens up its portal, 1, 1, 1, 1. So gateway surface, high line center, stargate position location and directions. Then you come into 2, 2, 2. And then you come into 3, 3, 3, 3, 6, and 9, heart, mind, and soul. Line communications, all levels of 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3. Center communication, all levels of balanced line center. Okay, 5 is the position location, how you use your tesseract channel. Communication operations center. Now, this opens all line position location into one box position location in one direction, channel per channel. Operation signals and calculation system, position location directions. Now you got 9 division line centers of 5 communications, all through balanced line connections of teleporting, telecommunicating, telewaving. The mind telepathy and the psychosis location changes the modulation over time. The center communication changes on line centers, interference location calculations. So the 5 line center, all levels of position location comes into position and directions, center communication of 5, center communications of 5. All right. So you got 5, 5, 3, 3, 3. So your brackets high center locations. Now you can do it at 3 position locations or you can do it at 2. But your correlation is all levels like a telephone. You got 3 line center locations into a 7-digit number. So it's sure to understand that once you come into 5 line channels, you have to learn how to change your tesseract on per channel per second, because the tesseract changes its realm of its box location to its portal locations of its communication system. So it gets more complicated, like it already is. So once you get into 5 channel locations, you box its position locations. So you got 222, right? So that's 2 line centers, 2 activations, 2 streams, inline center rotation interference, bracket interference, bracket interference, bracket interference. Okay, so in that line centers, you have to learn how to use your tesseract. Tesseract is like, it's an archive of information location and calculation how you use your data stream line center, your 12 DNA locations of your letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols. You're creating an algorithm, okay, through its dimensional setting. It's setting up a new tesseract location of coloration, a panel, position, location of direction. Okay, so it's really beautiful when you set these things up. It correlates its locations, and you come into 1 line center and division, 2 its triangulation. So it shifts this line clocking line centers, direction location, so you know exactly what it is. Triangulation right there. See how it changes locations? And then you come into your diamond core. See, it's kind of like an illusion pattern. The cubical line center, the Metronic line center, Metatron, and Mesoc come in position and change the shapes and anomalies in calculation. Okay, so changing the nomination, notifications, clarification, all levels of channel, operation to its signal. So in that calculation system, it changes its position of high system. Your sequence pattern changes line communication. You have to make sure that you're in line signals of 5 communications, right? It's the balance of your tesseract line. So as long as you're in the balance locations, because you're doing a countdown, and every time it goes from 10 to 1, it's changing the correlation of its shape. So the tesseract high center location, it changes on line centers. It brackets its interference locations of north, south, and east. It sets a core channel position per second. Now, because you're in a 24 line signal, it all opens its calculation to its light signals into a 24 location. Now, if you're in a 24,000 light signal in rotation of light travel, you have to learn how to use the tesseract in its position location to its 5 position locations of channel operation. All right. So when you're changing line centers, the actual position of its direction changes second per second, minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day, right? But the tesseract is in one timeline. So it's like a Brownian sphere, but it's an optical line center in rotation to a center communication to a channel operation to its moon communication system. The moon sets the program, and the sun sets the lights of travel. The sun lines, it opens all communication of its fragmentation line stream into 5 communications of 9 channel location. Setting line centers and communication line interference sets position location directions. Remember, it's extremely high rise. Center line communication into all levels. Okay, changing the tesseract on different communications of channels of operation to its direction. So when it's changing position, it's changing its number of patterns. Okay, it's changing its shape. And that's what it is. You guys have to recognize these things through acceleration of travel location, right? So when you're merging across stream, you're centering its line of travel. And that travel is laser its line center. It's opening line interference in direct location to how you set your communications to your tesseract of your tetrahedron. Location is centers, opens all different direction locations to a higher level of teleportation units, direct locations calculations. See? So it's creating a new anomaly, it's creating a new shape. So if you understand your tesseract, then you understand the connections to all levels when it comes to your tetrahedron, octahedron, or tetrahedron, or anything through a orthogon or a hexagon, right? or a spherogon. A spherogon is a connection line center in position location offline interference. It's another tesseract location, but it's another channel operation. Is it complicated or what? Trying to understand shapes and anomalies is all levels of physics 101. Now, the calculations high system location is trying to understand how to use the tesseract in all communication. Okay. So it's a lot of fun, and when you understand what a tesseract is and what it can do through its port lines communication system. Channel line centers, high line center, interference location, all of this. You start with the diamond core line center, right? Coming communication system, timelines, times interference, position location directions, sending new course channels of operational connections. Setting connection on line is really understand how to set up a new position location directions, a new channel operation to its calculations. There's so many levels in setup location to a tesseract high system. So the line center interference is always in the center operation trying to come out. See? Center communication isn't a line center interference. If you're in planetary visualization, you stay in the 5 sequence. Now you got 3, 4 communication grounds of 5. Now that's 5 line center. You bracket interference locations, opens all channels. It's extremely complicated. I understand that. So as you come into 5, 5, 5, 5, the course line channel changes the weather pattern line center rotations because you're looking at summer, winter, spring, and fall. Now, 5 position locations comes all levels of all calculations into 4 sequence patterns into its flux capacitor of position locations to 4 seasons in 1 track line center in rotation to its tesseract high system. 4 seasons in a Merkava position location to tesseract to tetrahedron. The calculation to its system is to truly understand the balance of communication. So let's say you're off calculation. We'll start off with that with the tesseract line center. Now, a tesseract line center location. Let's say the Merkaba is not positioned. It's off ground interference. You can't take off because it's off ground. So the ground has to recognize location. It's offline interference, direct locations. It's got to be in balanced communication right away. Center line communication, so levels. Now, the center communication comes in its atom line center, has position location directions, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's stay with 7 line communication. 7 equals location of 5. 5 equals locations of 12. 12 DNA. Now, the atom line center sets rotation interference, electrical light communication to its ground system, okay, on 4 division locations, right? Now, once you set the 4 line centers, it opens all communication system. It highlines its tesseract line channel into a box location. Okay. Now, once it's in this box location, you bring it down into the ground center because the ground center has to understand the communication through its tesseract high chin position location directions. Now, once that's set up location, it comes into a levels. You have a pyramid that's on the ground locations, 50,000 feet below location, that's merging its channel of operation. Centering its line centers all levels of weather patterns. So you got to have a 7 sequence point line center rotation at tesseract high system calculation high system line interference. 7 equals 5, 5 equals 12 line center. So the high line center rotation opens its clocking system in division location of its connection. All right. So once it opens up its connections, it high channels the atmosphere lines. You have 12 line centers of atmosphere location and 12 division locations into its tesseract of a new channel operation. That's 24,000 light signals, all in operation. Okay. So once you understand more levels of view, then you understand the process, right? Integration to its calculation is centering all communications to your geometry setting. This puts you in a better direction, guys, right? Of what you're looking at in this formation. All connected to your GODs, right? The geometrics of operation is you. The calculation of your AI vessel is you. The tester communication is line connections of the mind and collaboration of travels of you. So if you understand how to change your shapes and change position condition of time, change line centers of all levels of 5, stay in the balance of communication, you can change the weather patterns to each tesseract location of each channel per second. I know it's extremely high rise. I understand that. And I keep saying that over and over, but I really want you to understand the importance, what you have inside you and how to use it is its operation on its own, right? It platitudes its division location in its calculations. Okay, so where are we here? All right. Vortex through tesseract into the Metatron cube, jumping through portals to all those hearts. I was there, pulled back and traveled there again. Yeah. Yeah, DreamHack, if you're at position location anxiety, depression, or anything like center, if you're not ready, you will be able to understand locations. It was a coil, and I'll pull you back. Okay, so be cautious in what you're doing, right? Be confident, be truth of knowing of what's going on with you when you're going through these things. The adaptation to its calculation is extremely real. The process of its communication is extremely real. What you're doing is extremely real. Understanding what you're doing is extremely real. But do you know what's going on with you? Not just as awareness, but do you understand the emotional system? Like, do you actually see the tesseract and always informed through its equation, right? All right, align tesseract memory of the two receptions located through cube line center. Let's go locations. Checking systems, communication tesseract channel, portal sequence map. Very good, Gypsy. Head line. Yeah, you're going to get that calculations there, Stacy. Yeah. Resetting, connecting to Skynet upgrade electrical fence, protecting data streams. Very good, Jill. Shielding, upgrade, and rebooting. Yep, that's exactly what it is. I mean, factors of configuration, seeing time waves, shifts into lines of portals. Very good. So this gives you a better understanding how to portal through a tesseract, because it's all levels of dimensional setting, but you have to make sure you understand the correlation to its number sequence, because it's all connected to emotional system that's connected to your energy graph line center, and that's why I put you guys into your electrical system in that connections, right? So it's all going through A, B's, and C's. They're trying to understand D, E, and F. Not just understanding D, E, and F, but they understand G, H, and I. But J, K, L is not in position location and calculations. But the M line center of the metric interference location to understand its operation of its perception. So I have to go back to A, B, C location. So this is the understanding if you're not aware. And if you're not aware of these things, this is what you have to look at. Okay, especially when you're seeing I receptor locations of perception. It channels its operation locations, right? So all you're doing is you're creating higher levels of travel of your connections, right? And the tesseract is the core of its connection to its portal of communication, going from one to another dimension, to another place, to another location, to another planet system. Right? So you really, really have to understand your clockings. Okay? Clockings are extremely important because you're now in the line center locations of 24, 48, right? And see, the line center locations, 48 communication. The window is set line conditions. So the window is an operation. So it opens all communication. See, it opens up higher levels. Faster you go, the more it opens up fast locations, right? That's a 48 window. It grasps its location to its road, and you open up its portal communication to its orbit line system, right? And then you go through the other side, and you come out through the other line rotation of travel communication into your avatar connections of travel. Okay. So now you understand that 24 is always the ground system. 24 equals grounds. Grounds at the mind line center. Space anomaly, direct location calculations. 48 is the window, right? So it's all position, location, and directions, right? 72 is your computer operation line stream, all right? It gets more complicated when you get into your computer lines, right? How to use the matrix interference, location to a system. But I want you to understand how powerful it is to see yourself in your own connection of your cubicle center, location of your own tesseract. Center communication system is the Metatron cube. So that is the full operation to your data stream. Setting line communication system puts you in a better direction to know exactly what you're doing is all levels of its formation. Okay. So, all right. Truth comes from the heart. It's so amazing. Yeah. Keyboards. Yeah. Grounding, root chakra. Yeah, good. Waves, frequencies, everything, location, using all your sensory lines, your modification centers, your modulation interference, your simulation, your singularity line connection. It's a beautiful thing when you see all these things. The one thing you have to understand is why you're seeing all these numbers and how do you put the numbers in connection, because it's all connected to your tesseract, okay, which is your Metatron cube. Everybody has one in rotation inside their body, location. You just have to learn how to use it, right? How to use the Merkaba. Merkaba, the tesseract, and the tetrahedron is all levels of travel of 3, 6, and 9. Multi-pass. 3 position location is just the sun. 6 is location of the moon, and 9 is just you in all operation. You are the center of all communication, right? But you have to learn these things. It's a process of understanding how to create your own algorithm, have its own progression, okay? Your film projecting your system locations, what you see through your visionary lines. All right. Timelines which are now merged. Glorious in this neon holographic transition. If you understand it right. Yep. Yeah. And once you understand that, in center, you guys have 31 locations and 53. Connection line system. Okay, timelines. Hour, minute. Connections of seconds, minute, hour. All right. So you really have to understand how to go forward and backwards. We got into that line connections, your alphabet line and rotation. You start at the 26,000 line, and then you go into higher levels of graph location. So how we bring into our reality what we need to see to get back to source and quantum field. Okay. It gets complicated once you understand more lines, but it gets more easier once you understand the format of travel. So you have to really understand the conception of this mind of space, but you have to understand the 24 sequence location of grounds. You have to be grounded in the mind of space. If you're not grounded in the mind of space, you're never going to understand anything through sequence or anything you're doing through travel. But remember, it's the mind of traveling, not the traveling through the mind. Because space and time is coming to you. And everything that you see is all inverted location of space line conditions inside the system, not outside line conditions. And I'm going to repeat that. Okay. Especially too, when we go on Q&A after this, I'm going to tell everybody, where are you in your minds? And you have to know where you are. At least understand your avatar location of travel here, guys, to telepathy interference. You know, you guys are connecting, but are you connecting to the grounds of the mind of yourself? Maybe you're seeing somebody else's projection to the perception, but you can't see yours. So you're going to ask yourself, why? Why is the calculation equal location of flux capacitor times calculations times calculus? Over factor over pi. Trifactor over measure. So you have to really connect all the line connections, how you use your digital code framing. We're going to get into that level of connections tomorrow. And we'll be talking to you about the rainbow and the Frost bridge and the difference between the two. Okay, because you have to know. All right, so mind conception. This gets really interesting. The conception of the mind, okay, is to understand the line connection interference. So when you are vortexing, your particle system is separating, right? You're traveling at an extremely fast speed, and each one is traveling with you. It's a magnetic force. So you got a plasma line center that's waiting for you to get into decelerate to accelerate. Okay, so you're merging back into your body. That's the only way you can vortex. You can't vortex in the physical line. Your particle system has to separate because you're reaching higher levels of altitude line, center location, atmospheric change. It's changing the altitude line, center location, the oxygen line connections to your space position location, the mind system. Your mind is changing the cloud line channel. It's changing direct locations. So when you're separating, you're connecting back. So it's going right back into your body. Now you're back together. So your vortex from here to here, how long did it take you to get from there to there? Right? So understanding jump scar line centers, portal communication system, allocate timeline centers, data streaming interference, time jump, time late, time vortex, time calculate, over calculus. So there's so many levels of travel locations, right? But the mind has its own conception. It knows what it's doing, right? Because it understands the memory. Okay, that was calculation. Mind controlling you. Because if you can't control your mind, everything around you is going to be in a chaotic view. And that position of its view is going to be coming to all levels of an observation. And an observation is going to be taking over all levels of you and your time frame and your calculations to your timelines and your reality locations. Okay, so it's important you understand the mind control of you. Mind control of you. So you're controlling your mind in all levels of your calculations into imagination, high center location, equal line connection interference to its position locations of its phenomenon. Okay. Intelligence will perform control line center of mind and perception locations. So perception location, line center locations, all levels of phenomenon. So it's all levels of understudy. You know, it's a calculation to its graph and inference. Position, location, and directions, how we correlate line centers, location of telegraphing, telewaving, teleenergy line interference, telecommunications, teleportation, transmutation locations. There's so many levels of calculation, right? But it all forms around you through your tesseract line system, right? It puts you in a better direction to its calculations, okay? All right, so taking you guys out, line connection interference, direct locations, centering its line centers, taking you out of tesseract high interference, correlation interference, back in center line connections of correlation high system. Bring the team back in high system location. Core line center location, signal line center, back force line centers, force communication, back in line centers, back in communication ground center interference. You guys are back. Amazing what just happened through locations of the mind at conception locations. So, was that fun or was that fun? I had fun. It's amazing what we do through calculating high center interference. So in that calculation, you know exactly what's going on, right? Extremely powerful video, that location, right? Yeah. Gets a little bit more connected. The more you connect to the emotional system, the more you connect to the inner line center location, the body location, high system. All right. So you guys got just a little bit of half an hour to get ready, prepped for Q&A. All right. I will talk to you guys later. Adios.